Hi everyone, I'm Corey Joe Humphries or CJ and this is Commander class. In today's class we're going to be talking about Planeswalkers and it's going to be quite a very short class. So the first thing I would like to talk about is what is a Planeswalker? So a Planeswalker is in the story a kind of creature or human or person that has gone through a traumatic experience that has got a thing called a spark that lets them travel through other planes, kind of like they disappear and reappear on a different planet or a different universe type of thing. Kind of in the Magic world, every single world is in like a bubble and you get to travel from bubble to bubble, and that's why they are known to be one of the most powerful people in Magic the Gathering. When it comes to the cards themselves, they are cards representing the Planeswalkers themselves, so usually they're really good, and I hear a lot of people say that they're technically like a second player because they have the benefit of if an opponent of yours attacks you, they get a choice to hit you or your Planeswalker, and usually Planeswalkers are really good at helping you at specific things that you need for your deck. So now the next question is how do Planeswalkers actually work? So Planeswalker is a permanent card that you get to play for the mana cost that's on the top right, and they come in with a number of loyalty counters on them, which is represented on the bottom left. Most Planeswalkers have 3 abilities, usually a plus, a minus, and then an ult, or a bigger minus as some people call it. Some only have 2, some only have a passive and 1. There's many different ways, so it depends on what you want your deck to do. I recommend getting a Planeswalker and putting it in the deck, not building a deck around a Planeswalker, unless it is your commander, then you can do it. So even though most Planeswalkers have a plus, a minus, and a bigger minus, or an ult as I like to call it, I want to focus on an example that has 4, but it's kind of one of the most known Planeswalkers and one of the most known cards when it comes to Planeswalker, which is Jace the Mind Sculptor. To play Jace, you need 2 colorless mana and 2 blue mana to play him, and when you do, he enters on 3 loyalty. So usually the best way to represent this is to get a dice and put it on 3, and then put it on top of the loyalty counter. There's many other ways to do it. I've seen people do it with spin downs, or just write it on a piece of paper, or just keep it from the top of their head. On your turn, you're allowed to activate Jace once per turn, unless you have other permanent cards saying otherwise. You can only use the ability if you have the loyalty counters for it. So if he's on 3 and you want to minus 12 him, it will not let you. You have to be on 12 or higher to minus 12 him. So when he enters, he starts on 3 and he has a +2. Look at the top card of target player's library and you may put that card at the bottom of the library. This is really good at picking yourself mainly. I see it mainly picking yourself, but it is also good to pick other opponents because if you have a really good card on top, you can put it at the bottom. He has a 0, which if he starts on 3 loyalty and you 0 him straight away, he stays on 3, which says you draw 3 and then you can pick 2 cards from your hand and put them on top of your library. This is really good, especially if you already have 2 cards that you don't want in your hand. You get to draw the 3 and then pick those 2 because it counts your entire hand, not the 3 cards you just drew. He then has a -1, which if you played him and done it, would put him on 2. Return target creature to its owner's hand. This is really good for if you want to return a creature to your hand to replay it if it has an end of the battlefield effect, or if there is a big threat that costs a higher amount of mana, it's really good to put it back to someone's hand so then they can recast it, which they have to then use up their mana, which their next turn is then slimmed down a bit. And then -12, exile someone's library, then get their hand and put it as their library. It is a really good ult because it puts a time restriction on the game because the person only has roughly just guessing 7 cards to win the game, and they already know what the 7 cards are because their entire library is now in the graveyard. Because one of the rules in Magic the Gathering is if you have no cards in your library, you lose. So personally, I thought that Jace card was the best way to explain how a Planeswalker works. The only thing with that Jace is he doesn't have called a passive ability. So some Planeswalkers will just have this Planeswalker does this, but it will not have a plus or minus or 0 loyalty. A lot of them came out War of the Spark. They just kind of constantly do it. It is a passive that goes throughout the game. So please comment down below if there's any Planeswalkers you have seen that you like, or if there's any that, if they all said would be your commander, what would be your number 1 Planeswalker that you would like to be as your commander. The next question is why are Planeswalkers so important? When it came to doing research for this question, I really got 2 main answers. One is that when it comes to sets coming out, throughout the year. They go to different planes, different worlds, so it's a really good way to bring similar faces or characters that you've known and love back into the story. You're able to go into kind of a Halloween Town world and then travel to a dinosaur world and then still see a similar face. Another cool thing about this is that depending on where they are and how their backstory is or the stories at the time, the character or the Planeswalker themselves will gain or lose additional colours. The best way to explain this is Nissa, because she has a green card, a green-blue card, and then a green-black card. So during the story she goes from green to green-blue, goes back to green, and then to green-black, and is currently green-black. I will give examples of 3 Nissas on screen now. Nissa, Nature's Artisan. For 4 and 2 green, you get a Planeswalker Nissa that is a mythic and starts on 5 loyalty. +3, you gain 3 life. -4, reveal the top 2 cards of your library, put all land cards from among them onto the battlefield and the rest into your hand. -12, creatures you control get +5/+5 and gain trample until end of turn. Nissa, Steward of Elements. For X, green and a blue, you get a legendary Planeswalker Nissa that's a mythic that starts on X loyalty. +2, scry 2. 0, look at the top card of your library. If it is a land card or creature card with converted mana cost less than or equal to the number of loyalty counters on Nissa, Steward of Elements, you may put that card onto the battlefield. -6. Untap up to 2 target lands you control. They become 5/5 elemental creatures with flying and haste until end of turn. They are still lands. Nissa of Shadowed Brogs. For 2 black and a green, you get a legendary Planeswalker Nissa that is a mythic. She starts on 4 loyalty. She has a landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, put a loyalty counter on Nissa of Shadowed Brogs. +1. Untap target land you control, you may have it become a 3/3 elemental creature with haste and menace until end of turn. It is still a land. -5, you may put a creature card with converted mana cost less or equal to the number of lands you control onto the battlefield from your hand or graveyard with 2/1/1 counters on it. And then there is the new Planeswalkers. I don't know how to describe it to a new person other than currently in the story there is this oil stuff called Phyrexian oil that turns people evil or machine, and they found a way to get a Planeswalker and they call it completed. So they get a Planeswalker that everyone loves and turn them completed and evil, and currently as we're recording this there is only 2, one being a Ajani and one being Tamiyo, and I will put them on screen now. Tamiyo, Completed Sage. For 2, a green, a hybrid Phyrexian mana of a green and blue, or a blue, you get a legendary Planeswalker Tamiyo that is a mythic. Tamiyo starts on 5 loyalty. Tamiyo has completed. For the Phyrexian mana of the green and blue, you can pay green, blue, or pay 2 life. +1, tap up to 1 target artifact or creature. It doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. -X, exile target non-land permanent with converted mana value X from your graveyard. Create a token that's a copy of that card. -7, create Tamiyo's Notebook, a legendary colorless artifact token with spells you cast cost 2 less to cast and has tap, draw a card. Ajani Sleep Agent. For 1 green, a hybrid Phyrexian mana of a green and a white, you get a legendary Planeswalker Ajani that is a mythic and he starts on 4 loyalty. He has completed. You may tap the dual You may tap the dual Phyrexian mana for a green and white, or you can pay 2 life instead. +1, reveal the top card of your library. If it is a creature card or Planeswalker card, put it into your hand, otherwise put it at the bottom of your library. -3, distribute 3 1/1 counters among up to 3 target creatures. They gain vigilance till end of turn. -6, you get an emblem. Whenever you cast a creature or Planeswalker spell, target opponent gains 2 poison counters. As always, I love enjoying making these videos. I would like to continue, but it all depends on your support. So please like, follow, comment, subscribe, follow me on all my social media. I would like to do more of these classes. If there's any topics you want me to go over, please comment down below what topics I should do next. So when it comes to next class, I'm not 100% sure what I want to do next, but I think I'm going to do different types of lands. I'm not sure if I'm going to have them broken down in multiple classes or just one big one, but I'll let you know next week. Or if you follow me on all my social media, I will probably comment or do a post saying what I'm going to do next. And as always, I will see you in the next video.